Good morning. Happy Saturday morning. It's time for Swap Shop. I mean, no, it's not. What it is time is for a ramble about why the Amberverse appears on a Norse Pagan channel. So, in mentally preparing for this video, if you like, obviously I've put on the about page for this channel that things like Middle Earth, Westeros, even sort of Roger Zelazny's Amberverse, they're my guilty pleasures. Believe it or not, I'm not sort of constantly Norse pagan, the path of power, power. It's more a case of I have a life of sorts. So maybe this is more a case of this is a life channel, and these are things that help me focus on other things, because my brain is a little bit busy at times with. Well, it was more a case of I work in a way of if I'm focused on one thing, there's a couple of things in the background that are simmering away, and that's where sort of the eureka moments come from, or the inspiration that sort of when I go back to that subject, it's a bit more clear, a bit stronger, and a bit more thought out, because I've allowed myself to be distracted by something elsewhere. The Amberverse has relativity to Norse paganism, and I'm going to talk about a couple of things to do with that, just so that there's a sort of like, okay, that's interesting parallels, and they could have been things that inspired Roger Zelazny as he was writing these books, this universe. And I just want to sort of come at it from a Norse pagan angle. Now, the real crux connection, if you like, is Dworkin, who we met in the last few chapters of Nine Princes in Amber. The crazy old wizard who helps Corwin escape his imprisonment. And he's the person we need to focus on, because Dworkin created the reality that is forged in the Amberverse. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit there. You see, Dworkin is and was a member of the Courts of Chaos. We've only heard a little bit about that in Nine Princes of Amber. As we get into the next few books, it will become more prominent, more important. But he was once a member of the Courts of Chaos, and the Courts of Chaos, back in the dawn of time, if you like, had no rigid structure to it. It was chaos, pure chaos, no rules other than the rules that the society of the Courts of Chaos set between the great houses. At some point, Dworkin took to wandering into his ways. Now, ways are a thing which, again, you will go on to learn about if you don't know already. And yeah, he wandered off into his ways, and at some point, sort of made friends with a unicorn, and thus the pattern, amber, reality, a rigid structure was created in an infinite universe. And I think it's fair to say that this created some hostility between Dworkin and his new reality, rigid reality, mostly rigid, and absolute chaos. Incidentally, as well, say Dworkin got friendly with the unicorn. That ties into another Norse pagan source, because obviously, explanation time a little bit. Loki is known as the mother of Sleipnir. After, having sex with a male horse and getting pregnant. And, the creation of Amber, the creation of the pattern, Dworkin, the unicorn. No diagrams needed. This is a basis of, the creation of reality in the Amberverse. So if we take a step to the side, obviously we've got an old, well, he probably wasn't an old guy there, but we've got Dworkin, who sets off from an established place of, should we call it freedom? I mean, chaos is freedom. And imposes on the whole universe a structure of order. Now, if we go to Norse paganism, obviously you have the Jotnar, commonly the giants. And they have their freedom, shall we say. They are living in a place, in realms where there's no law as such. There would have been structure of sorts, but there was no established restrictments. And then Odin and his two brothers decide to murder Ymir, the first giant, and create order in the universe, in the realms. And then you have the establishment of Asgard and the Aesir separated from the Jotnar, and the Jotnar are not very happy about that. And there we have, really, whether you want to call it a trope or not, it's that sort of, is this one inspiration for where the concept for Zelazny's Amberverse came from? Dworkin is a parallel of sorts with Odin and Loki. And the Amber is a parallel of Asgard and the Aesir, with the courts of chaos being like the Jotnar. You can decide for yourself whether you want that to be a parallel or not. It's just an interesting line of thinking. Incidentally, we're still at a point where we don't know a great deal about Oberon, and Oberon's gone, and you could probably draw parallels between Oberon and Zeus. Now, Oberon is the son of Dworkin, so that's like saying Zeus is the son of Odin. I'm not saying that. I'm just sort of saying for Zelazny's Amberverse, sort of picked up these little things. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe he just wrote a crazy story and it is coincidental that they tie into these pantheons and their stories. It doesn't have to be sinister or copying or distorting or sort of taking the mickey out of twisting. It's just, it's a fantasy story. I say fantasy, it's probably fantasy and science fiction. And the science fiction will probably come in more with the second set of 5 books. But but it's there. You just haven't seen it yet. But we're talking about a universe where there's an infinite number of possibilities, and colourful characters that probably fit all standard stereotypes for all standard stories. It's just whether you like to consider Corwin if he's the heroic archetype or not. So that is how some of the content on this channel, does have some relativity to each other. Make of that what you will. I'm probably not going to have time this weekend to start the Guns of Avalon. I'd hoped to, but I made the decision to go into work today, and obviously that means working instead of, doing my own thing. If you listen to my ramble, thank you very much. If you agree or disagree or want to throw in some other similarities or go, that's absolutely not true, or how can you say that, then feel free to do so. That is what comments are for. And have a good day. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.